Isn't it okay to get lost in Las Vegas?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was thinking about this the other day. You know, my son, Jesse, was out in Las Vegas when we had that 70th birthday celebration, but actually was not in attendance at the big, gathering when everybody got together for the birthday dinner. Why? Because he was playing poker at a nearby casino. And I was thinking, I really respect that. I do. Some people that might have caused some kind of very, just almost abrasive kind of rift in the family. But, with me, and everybody accepted it. Oh, yeah, he's in a poker tournament. No problem, man. Let's hope he wins, which is great.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show on South Florida Live, with you till 9 o'clock on the live portion of the program, and it streams all day on an endless loop, and you can find it in a variety of places, portions of which are replayed on 5 Reasons Sports Network, and of course you can catch our new entity, which is Defo on 5, which I still think needs a slash with Mike Lubie Lubitz, because you're a big part of that program.
I forgot today, but I usually add Defo on 5 with Lubie to make you happy. I don't care either way.
I feel like you're being cheated, out of your just due recognition, especially after some of the things that you've done this week, including a very remarkable job, as on the Tuesday you were able to book both Dusty May and Jim Larinaga on the same show, and still feeling good about having those two gentlemen on the program, and we're hoping we're feeling even better about them after tonight's and tomorrow's action in the NCAA tournament, which we will get to in short order. And we're hoping to connect later on with the professor and get his thoughts on the games that are upcoming today. Pretty interesting slate, actually, including the local entity with FAU going against the Tennessee team that is pretty stifling defensively, Mike Lubie Lubitz. They can slow the pace down to a crawl. Now, is it strength versus strength? In this spot, can the FAU Cinderella story continue to ride towards a glass slipper type conclusion if they can nail threes against this Tennessee defense? Because that will be, I think, the crucible right there in that ball game. Will FAU be able to sustain its ability to hoist them from the outside? Because, quite simply, Tennessee ain't Fairleigh Dickinson.
Well, that's true.
They play some big man basketball. Yeah. So, where Fairleigh Dickinson, knocking Purdue out certainly was very fortuitous for FAU's chances of winning the championship. And as we've been saying, it's interesting because the easier road to the title so far has been taken by FAU as a number 9 seed, whereas Miami has had some challenging efforts, including the sleeper team of every wise guy that we talked to before the tournament, Drake, with their 30-year-old backcourt. That wasn't combined. That was each. You're looking at, two guys that have been in college for 11 years. Is there a maturity level there or just a refusal to face reality that, college is but a dream, my friend, perchance to dream. It's great. But nonetheless, they had an easier path, FAU, and I think you would have to say that by far this will be their toughest assignment going against Tennessee. And the Volunteers have had their various sort of brushes with excellence this year. And at the same time, like a lot of teams, like just about everybody, as we've seen with 2 number 1 seeds already, you're out. They're already gone, right? Think about that. Number 1 seeds knocked out before the Sweet 16. That's kind of unusual. 2 of them, a pair of them.
Yep.
And, and you would have to think, Houston has been more than vulnerable as a number 1 seed. Alabama, they haven't really been challenged yet. Didn't they win both their games by like 20, 30 points?
Yes, Alabama, to me, has been the most dominant team. Now, again, they got the brackets to break the perfect way. They've had to really face no one. But still, they have they've looked really good, and Gonzaga's looked great. Both of those teams look really good.
I like that there's already like coaching carousel moves being made, and significant ones also. Rick Pitino, by the way, says St. John's will be on the map this year. We're not waiting. And he's already zeroing in on like the number 2 player in New York City. And they have a picture of a little mugshot. I don't want to say a mugshot. Not when you're talking college basketball in Alabama. But what would that be? What was that called when you had the a little thumbnail picture? That you would see like a columnist have. I'm the word is escaping me for describing it.
Headshot? You mean a headshot?
Yeah, it's a little headshot, but that's not the term that I was looking for. Anyway, this kid supposedly is very much infatuated with Patino, and so that's it, baby. Holy Chris Mullen, the Johnnies are going to be good again. They've had some odyssey since Lou Carnesecca hung it up. I mean, a zillion different coaches, and it's just never worked out. There's been a few times where they've shown some promise, and I'm thinking Patino delivers on this. Now, does the world change its perception, or I mean, we're in the minority on this. The majority of the basketball world considers Patino to be somewhat of a slimy rat.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Somewhat.
I hate to say that, but that happens to be the truth. I mean, if you talk to, I mean, look, mention Patino to the professor, and what's the first thing he does? He goes back to when he was peeling pineapples in Hawaii as a low-level assistant, and somehow was involved in some recruiting scandal. Unbelievable.
100%. Literally, I talked to him about it the other day, and that's he goes right for it. So
Feinstein, who I mean, whose opinion do we have to respect more than John Feinstein? He loves college basketball. Built his career on taking a shot like a wild shot. I mean, think about the balls that took. I don't know how successful he was before he wrote Season on the Brink, but wasn't he like a relatively obscure guy at that point?
I think that was like his big opener onto the scene.
And who's thinking you're going to get like all access to Bobby Knight as a member of the media?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be like requesting, maybe you have a little. I guess it did happen. Who's the author that writes all of those Patriot books about the Patriots?
The actual. We've had him on Seth something.
A couple of times, yeah, and he goes to Bob Kraft. Maybe he was on the next bench next to him at the Asian massage parlor when he asked, and he had Kraft in a compromising position. But he says, "Hey, would you mind if I had all access to the Patriots, including exclusive, opportunity to be around Bill Belichick when he's holding meetings with his coaches and having film sessions and sending spies to the other team's field to see what they're going to come up with, in their game plan." And Kraft goes, "Yeah, sure." As the guy's got his cell phone camera out, taking a picture of a naked Bob Kraft with some Asian girl in the place. Where was that? Jupiter.
Yeah,
where that was going on. That was good. All right, maybe an ugly place to start. This is even uglier, Lubie.
Okay.
I go to the Miami Open yesterday. That was great. Junket run by Eddie Sposa, Pompano Municipal Tennis Center. I believe, and the whole park there is one of the better parks that I've been to in all of my lifetime. And I was just absolutely obsessed. If there was a basketball game going on somewhere, or a softball game, a baseball game, I wanted to be in it. Right? Recreationally, what? You need a guy? You want to run full? Okay, no problem. So I've been to a lot of parks in my lifetime, and grew up near Fort Greene Park, of course, Prospect Park in New York. Played basketball in a lot of different places all across the country, and I find this to be one of the best public parks I've ever been to in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Magnificently kept tennis courts, 16 courts. I mean, so you had a lot of tennis fans there, and as I was leaving the place, I was thinking, you know what a great game this is. I didn't like it as a kid. I thought it was one of those things that it got taken away from your buddies who were playing basketball. Maybe I don't know if this happened to you, because it probably wasn't the same kind of social setup that we had, but. God forbid you should have had a girlfriend in high school and a basketball opportunity that same afternoon. And she says, I guess, this was an early sign of the troubles that were to come. Can we do something together today? You're like, yeah, we can. You can go shopping. I can go to the track. Isn't that togetherness? It's an example of it. It's a bit of an existential interpretation, but nonetheless, and maybe, that's the way you put it to her. It's like, you know what? We really have to challenge the parameters and, the outer limits of what possibilities we have together. So why don't you go there and I'll go there? But tennis, the only time you ever played was when, if you had a girlfriend and this was back in the day when you had the wooden rackets and you kept them in a frame so that they wouldn't warp. Never mind that you never changed the strings in like 12 years that you own this racket. Never. And, the strings back then were not as sophisticated and scientifically and technologically developed as they are today. So, they had a tendency to fall completely apart, like in a short period of time. but you still kept them in there. But the big worry was that the racket shouldn't warp, and inevitably it did anyway.
Oh, it was wood. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys with the wood. Like, it's so funny because your tennis path was the opposite of mine. I grew up, we loved tennis. Like,
Oh
my
yeah.
family, we like would go in the summers and go to the courts, and like my dad and mom would play, and my brother and I would play. Like, we would go, my sister would join in. Like, we played tennis a lot, and all the Grand Slams. Is it majors? Grand Slam? I always get confused with tennis and golf, but yeah, we would.
They're Grand Slams.
Grand Slams.
Yeah.
Golf is majors. So we would watch every single one together. Like, I would watch the U.S. Open men and women's finals, Wimbledon men and women's finals. Obviously, we didn't care that much about the French men and women's every year for years. Like, tennis was ingrained in my life until I got older, and then I sort of fell out. Where you did the opposite. You hate.
Oh no, it was definitely a game.
I love with it older.
Drew little consideration, just to show you that Andy must have had a very similar childhood as I did. Because I was just about to mention that, the only reason that you had even the slightest bit of interest in tennis was because you would see these schwitzy old hairy men playing handball in Brooklyn, and and they were great at it. I mean, and guys that didn't look like that they had even a shell, even the slightest semblance of athleticism, somehow would be tremendous in handball, and the action was pretty fast. And then you would try it, and you would realize that without a glove, handball is just like hitting a bowling ball, or maybe bouncing one off your head. Right?
I never got that playing it. Like, you had rackets. Rackets existed. I never understood that.
Oh yeah, racquetball. There was no such thing as racquetball when I was growing up. I mean, it was all handball. And, you would see the old guys get out there. There'd be a bunch of, old Italian guys playing bocce on one side. And then wild games. I mean, highly competitive games, and usually involving a little bit of capital exchanging hands between the losers and the winners. Wild games of handball. So you thought, okay, that kind of looks cool. Tennis has a little bit of a parallel to it. And, you might be inclined to take a racket out. But it only happened if you were seeing a girl. and then you had to face the disgrace and the shame of your friends who were over by the water fountain just as you were finishing up that first set. And naturally you had to beat her 6-love if you could, but and try to discourage her from ever playing again. So this never came up. But then all your buddies were coming off the basketball court, having played like a dynamite game. You could tell everybody was just loving it, man. It was like they were Celtics Knicks in the old days, even though it was shirts and skins. And, and they were all by the water fountain going, so how's it going, Defo? I wasn't known as Defo then.
Jeff,
but
probably Jeff, yeah.
Yeah. How's it going, DeForest? And I would have to just look sheepishly and say, we're having a wonderful time.
I think she's right there. So
and then she's looking, going, these are your friends?
Yeah, they always, women always mock your friends.
Suspicions would arise right there that maybe you weren't exactly on the level, right? As soon as I see the company that you keep. Anyway, just getting back to the Miami Open here for a second. So, and this is kind of grotesque. I don't know that I should even bring this up on the show, but I should be more ambidextrous since I did play the drums as a kid, and I can do some things left-handed, but far and away my right hand is my dominant hand. I don't know if that's that way with you. Anyway, from going back on the tennis courts last week, I must have developed some kind of weird tendonitis in my wrist.
Oh, geez.
Just, because you're doing something now for a long period of time, like an hour and a half, that you haven't done in maybe several months. And I don't know if it was gripping the racket or the strings or whatever, but my wrist has been killing me ever since, to the point where I can't even, I don't even know if I should bring this up, Lou, because we were talking about.
Don't.
Are you ambidextrous when it comes to cleaning a certain orifice of your body?
I usually go right. You're right. Like I
always go right. I don't even know if I can get my left hand back there with my giant.
I'm weird because I write with my left, but then I play every sport.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm weird in that regard, but I guess I could if I had to. I think I go right all the time. Like, I think I just naturally I'm stronger with my right hand when I'm using the facilities. Yeah,
It hit me though. It dawned, it dawned on me that this is the essence of all sports. can, can you force somebody to go away from their strengths?
I left. Yeah.
And how much do you reduce them to when they're forced to do something they absolutely have no experience with and do not want to do? That's why I still respect that line we got from Jen Larinaga about he wants a basketball game to be a track meet, or he sees it as a track meet.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting because there haven't been that many guys that have really embraced that philosophy. I mean, there have been guys that saw it as a track meet and also we're encouraging the chuckers to put up a quick 30-foot shot. Mike D'Antoni, right? I don't know. Was Westhead? He was one of the most interesting guys we spoke with. He was 80 at the time, and this was before he checked out, right?
Yeah, we had him. Well, we didn't talk to him after he checked out. That would have been definitely impressive.
Well, I mean, we have seemed to have done that a few times on the show. I know we proclaimed you dead 3 years ago, but welcome to the program, man. It's good to have you on.
I think you're asking, is he dead now? Yeah. I think he.
I believe he checked out last year, and in fact, I gotta, it's been a rough year, especially, and I was reminded of this very early this morning.
He's alive.
Westhead is okay.
Paul Westhead, and that's the guy we had on.
Yeah. He wrote a book, and we had him on. And he was like 80 years old, still very coherent.
He's 84,
right.
And no dead date, so I would presume that means he's still alive. We had him on, what was it, like 3-4 years ago, and he sounded good. He sounded great. I mean, he had just written a book. He had a lot of energy.
By the way, is my number blinking on the board right now, Lubie? I got this text from the lovely and talented one this morning. Willis Reed, Tom Seaver, Rod Gilbert, pretty much all of your youth. They've all checked out in the last 6 months.
That means they were like a decade older than you, right?
Yes.
Because you were a child, and
Is that all I have left, Lubie? Because if it is, I'm going all in on FAU to win the title tonight, and just take a shot, right? I mean, if I'm going to be broke, I may as well. It may as well hit me right now. Everything. There have been some substantial wagers documented. Also, that's the other thing about legalized wagering is you start to see some of this stuff surface. It used to only be rumor that you got third hand. Hey, I heard Louis lost 30,000 on that horse. And you're like, really? And by the time it got to, 10 guys down the road, it was 80,000. Some cat had a parlay in Biloxi, documented in Biloxi, bet like 350 grand on a parlay, Missouri minus 6.5 in the game that they lost to Princeton. So he was laying 6.5 in that game, and he had Alabama on a money line. So Alabama cruises. And then imagine, I mean, do you think this guy will ever send? Well, he won't have the money to send his kid to an Ivy League school because he lost 350. He was going to win 460,000 if that bet clicked, but not even close. Princeton blew out Missouri in that game.
With the tournament, it's so people do that with the tournament. It weirds me out. We see so many upsets all the fucking time. Like to put that much money on a game.
Well, it depends. I guess it's all relevant to how much did that 350 mean to this guy. I mean,
I'm hoping
it's Jeff Bezos and he's putting up 350. Maybe who's the girlfriend? Sanchez. What's her first name?
I think she's like a friend of Nikki Mohan or something. I think Nikki Mohan
is that right?
Dates Jeff Bezos. That's what she said to us. Which is
interesting. Be all right. I mean, why don't we get a little closer to Nikki then and see if Bezos can help us out, man? I tell you what, I wouldn't even mind owning one of those delivery trucks, man. Mercedes engines, it looks like it could be an RV, doesn't it? You could live in this damn thing. How many packages is this guy delivering, man, to buy the... I mean, he was going to outbid everybody else. You imagine Dan Snyder hates him so much that he was going to outbid everybody else for the Washington Commanders football team. And he wouldn't even take a call from the guy. Is that Bezos? You tell him to go fuck himself. Just because he owned the Washington Post, and there were some unflattering things. I mean, as obviously evidenced by John Feinstein's presence there.
They employ John Feinstein, so he just talks shit about Snyder for no reason.
Forget about James Dolan, man. I mean, Feinstein would have this guy tasered as he came in if he tried to enter the stadium. Never mind this photo identity, and security comes over and, not necessarily politely says, Mr. DeForest, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises.
Yeah, get out of here.
Okay. What did I do? because you work for McGlatchy and Stevens or whatever in New York, and they happen to be suing James Dolan, as is virtually everybody else, or so it seems. All right, let's get to a couple of things of relevance here. So the Miami Open was great. I saw a lot of good stars. Weather, I mean, it was really, really almost ideal. Although it does get hot if you're sitting in those metal stands. And I spent a lot of time on the side courts watching schmecky players that I never heard of, and it was still fascinating. And you're looking at it going, look what it takes to win a tennis tournament, the work that goes into it. These guys are living. I mean, think about the lifestyle these people are living. They have millions of dollars. They have entourages, that will go ahead and capitulate to whatever their most idiosyncratic need might be. But they work their ass off to win these things. I mean, these are some serious, stone cold athletes that you're seeing out there. Even if the physique doesn't always suggest it, because I'm watching these people warming up, and I'm thinking, if I played one game in a match like that, I would be laid out. They would be carrying me out of the park, the Pompano Municipal Tennis Center, on a stretcher, and they're just goofing around warming up. So, to then, go through all of that and, also have to win 6 matches against people who are, doing the same thing you are. I mean, they're working just as hard as you are. There definitely is some work that goes into winning any individual title, singles, title in men's and women's tennis. It's amazing. I'm watching my girl Sabalenka, man. She's actually started to win now. She got rid of the yips. She was staggering with her serve last year, and appeared to be prone and inclined to. I don't know that it was so obvious, but the mental meltdown, which is not a good characteristic in an individual sport or a team sport for that matter.
Osaka still doesn't come back from it.
Yeah, I mean, but melting down during matches. Osaka's was a little more, general than that, right? Because she was just melting down. Period.
No, she had issues outside of the game, but it bled into her game. Her game has not been the same since. And
no, and probably never will be. I mean, she's not on the scene now. I don't know if she's injured, but not on the scene at all.
Well, it seems to, as much as Kyrgios seems to enjoy being a loon.
Yes,
it derails him. He plays really well until he has his moment where he loses it.
Gets psychotic.
McEnroe, he thrived with. Like McEnroe, yes. You could tell, like, he would be playing okay, then he'd be like, fuck. It's like the coach that's like, all right, how do I rile up my guys? I'm getting it technical now. Like McEnroe would get mad at the stupidest thing that he would have been fine without it, but he had to fire himself up, fire the crowd up, whether it was before or against him. And from that point on, McEnroe would just kick ass. Like Kyrgios is the opposite. Like whenever Kyrgios would be cruising, like, oh my God.
Breezing. Yeah, you're saying, my God, this guy's got talent.
And then he throws his racket at a fan, gives him
spits at a fan. Yeah, does something like that.
And then he's done. He can't make another point, and he pretty much quits, and he's never the same. Yeah.
And we'll even start sulking and tank a set.
Oh, look at
which
that.
The sulking athlete is never necessarily. I mean, that is not what you would say a path to success. If you're going to be like sulking about a call for the next hour and a half, which Sabalenka was prone to those tendencies. She seemed to have cleaned that up. And has been really a dominant player. I think she's only lost 2 matches. She just lost in the final at Indian Wells. But I'm watching her, man, warming up with a guy who was her hitting partner. And wow, I mean, I don't know how these people ever lose. I mean, it's the same thing. It was the same fascination we had when we were watching Tsonga, Joe Willie Tsonga. Yeah,
it was like just
many years ago.
It's like, what the fuck?
Like I mean, just pasting shot after shot after shot, and you're like, wow, how do these guys ever lose a point? But they're all great. I mean, it's amazing to see that level of talent. And it was kind of cool too, because the people that we went with all play tennis, and obviously our participants there at the tennis center, and it's I would have to say that I might have brought the median age of the crowd down a little bit.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know. I mean,
Miami Open was
tennis is great in this respect. I mean, it's a game that you can play.
Oh, yeah, till you're older.
I mean, you do see 80-year-old people out there playing tennis and playing, a reasonably decent brand, right? I mean, just to get out there and still be standing after a set, even if you were just, pretty much non-active, is a little bit rough at that age. Anyway, this tendonitis thing.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's been a little ugly. Yeah, I mean, but you can do it left-handed. In other words, if you were forced into a situation where you only had a few minutes before you got on the air, You had just gotten off the mighty throne.
I wipe my ass with my left hand, 100%. Andy said he does everything left-handed, but can't do that left-handed. That's interesting that he's a full left.
I think it's because of my Jewish ass, though.
Why would you write?
It makes it prohibitive. If I had no ass, one of those guys, you ever see those guys and their pants just come straight down? You're like, how do you have no ass? Have we been very anally,
I don't know.
intensive lately? I mean, what the hell is going on with the show?
We don't care.
UCLA Gonzaga. You say Gonzaga. I'm sort of a closet UCLA fan.
So Visser-Mama's not, and I think she's away somewhere.
Yeah,
she was supposed to join us this week, but she couldn't because she's away. And
yeah, this is our conversation. I'm sure she's
watching us from wherever, what location she's in, but she's not happy with this conversation.
Deteriorated, man, from a trip to the tennis center. To me wiping my ass left-handed.
It's like, what's wrong with you people? I'm like, a lot. I told you that from the beginning. We're always amazed that you not only choose to join us, but actually watch us. Like, I'm always amazed.
Oh, no, it's great, man. Absolutely. I think she gets it, really. That's the key. If you're going to watch this stuff, it's important to sort of be like plugged into where we're coming from.
I don't know if that's
I was going to mention Carl Peterson. Who, we were talking about Stephen Ross earlier because of this Miami Open thing, and I'm looking at the development of the grounds there, and I'm thinking, wow, I mean, is he coming up with these ideas, Stephen Ross? Is it Garfunkel, the president? Is he responsible?
Tom Garfunkel.
It's not Art Garfunkel. The guy, it's a business guy with the Dolphins. He always has a big smile on his face, but he's always following in the footsteps of Stephen Ross. And you can hear him kind of saying, yes, Stephen, yeah, that's a great idea, Steve. Hey, that was an idea you brought up to me, even though it was the other way around. Why don't we have a Grand Prix here?
100%. That's what happened. There's no way Ross is coming up with this shit.
Nah. But, I mean, they are building. I mean, have you been down to the stadium anytime in recent times, Mike Lubitz? Because the construction that is going on there is immense. And they've already think about this, they already put like a full-blown tennis center in there with grandstand courts and side courts and all this other stuff. And, grounds that's fairly expansive. And if you wanted to throw in expensive, you could also. Because they're not ashamed there, to charge you just about anything. Could you look somebody in the eye and just absolutely like rob them blind?
Oh, that's our problem. Literally, people have told us we don't do enough of that. We don't do enough of that.
Yeah.
We're too honest. We're like, yeah, we'll charge you this.
If you don't want to pay, it's okay.
The Delaware person.
Why don't you wait till you see if it works for you, and then
and we'll be there today, Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, and we're stoked. They treat us really well. They literally, when Mayo went there to them, they went to him and they're like, you're an idiot. And he's like, what do you mean? They're like, these prices are stupid.
There's no such thing as a fair price anymore.
No, but they're like, you should charge way more. And Mayo's like, oh, really?
Well, they're probably used to like television stations coming in there.
Yeah. Even newspapers, though. Newspapers don't exist. No one reads newspapers outside of you. And they were charging more than, I guess, what we charge. And you get a real number from us.
Well, whatever this battle was I had with, and I don't even know who this person is that delivers my New York Post, I have prevailed without really meaning to. Because it was accidentally that I called in that I needed my paper redelivered the other day, and the guy then, like 10 minutes later, came with it. Right? But it was sort of at the time where if you didn't call, then there was no shot of getting it that day, right? So, I mean, I didn't make these rules. And I'm normally not one. I'm very appreciative of people. I think all work is good work, no matter what you're doing. If you're picking up litter off the street, okay, that's great.
You've done a lot of the garbage jobs. I mean, even though you liked what you did as shame, sure was a pain in the ass. It wasn't like fucking.
Oh no, it was pure joy, Louis. I mean, it was work, but this was my thing. I guess I carried it out through my lifetime, and a lot of people that are in sports have done the same. Which is, what's better than getting paid to go to sporting events, Louis?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're a sports fan, and you've had this, I'm probably sure said to you, as I have many times, where you're like, about to write a check to some attorney for $25,000, and the guy looks you in the eye while you're on the brink of disaster here, and your life's about to go up in smoke, and he says, you know what? I always wanted to do what you're doing. Yep. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'd much rather be on the receiving end of this 25 times for making 2 phone calls.
Well, people all the time are jealous. I'm like, of what?
Yeah, can you do my guy a favor? He's really a good guy. What a world. All right, we'll get back to a lot of this stuff in a second hour of the program, but we want to conduct the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge right now, and this is always great. You say Gurggles is on board here already? There he is.
There he is.
There he is. How are you, Dave Gurggles Gergely?
Doing fine. Busy times right now. I got tournaments Friday. Both the pros are out of town, so I got to run the men's game Saturday, Sunday. Monday, I got Archbishop McCarthy. Tuesday, another tournament. So it is a busy time, but always a pleasure to talk to you two gentlemen.
All right, we saw, maybe just the slightest sign of a little stress early this morning there, when you first came on. As you said, you're running around like a maniac here at the golf course.
Well, I hit my snooze alarm for an extra 9 minutes this morning, a little about 6:30, and during that 9 minutes, I had a dream where everything was wrong. There was a horse tied to a tree on the golf course. I forgot to do signs for another group, and that some people disappeared. I woke up and I go, wow.
Yeah.
You sound like Defo.
So you have those nightmares too, because I still have radio nightmares.
Yeah, I used to have a recurring nightmare that I was back teaching high school in Philadelphia. And I'm going, why? I thought I left this job.
Exactly. It's bad in the middle of it when you're like, how am I here?
Yeah.
How much subliminal damage was done by that program director you worked for, Lubie? I mean, unbelievable.
I'm still stressed out about radio.
Who are those guys that work with you on Saturday? That's always the way it was put to me. Even if they liked you, it was always like, who are those guys you work with on Saturday? And who's the guy with the funny voice? I said, that's Gurggles. Gurgs, all right, good. You ready for the trivia challenge? And you've been busy.
Yes.
Have you been following anything in the sporting life? I know you used to conduct all of these great events. Nobody was better at the sports promotion in a bar than Dave Gurggles Gergely, and that is a fact, people. And you even had the just supreme admiration of the Polyman, who's a good judge of these sort of things. Contests and tournaments and things like that, especially of a degenerate nature. Did you get involved in any of this stuff this year?
No, absolutely not. No brackets, nothing like that. I just sit back and enjoyed some of the games. Love seeing Princeton win. I went to college 2 miles from Princeton.
Oh, wow.
Rider College right there in Lawrenceville, and love seeing FAU win.
Yes.
And Fairleigh Dickinson, we actually played against. They were in my conference at Rider. So, yeah, I'm enjoying that. And Leslie Visser sent me a text about her favorite player is this little guy who's 5'8" that took over a game. And she asked me if there was anybody else 5'8" that ever took over the NCAA tournament. I said, yeah, 10-year-old Paulie Man when he fixed the CCNY game in 1950.
There was some contest too. I can assure you, nobody thought we were going to win that day. No, there's nothing like the Polyman, and we're wishing him all the best because he has vowed to return. We've been working on this concept for a degenerate gambling show, maybe to come to fruition very soon. Maybe never to come to fruition, as most of our projects. But the geezers at Caesars, and of course, we would like you and the Polyman to be a big part of that. If we ever get it together, and compensation considerations can be discussed at a different time, like in the next lifetime.
Post-mortem, yeah. Can you sign this post-mortem contract, please? Yeah.
Oh, to pay Willis Reed the money.
What's this on the bottom here? Co-signed by Low Hanks. What does that mean? Yeah.
And I thought Lipschitz was an asshole. All right, Gurgs, are you ready? I mean, Lubie's got trivia on the brain tonight, and he's going to be out there live at Landlubbers. We're going to give away the Landlubbers gift certificate. The number to call is 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. We always encourage new players. We never get them. But,
I posted a day before. I'm promoting it. I'll promote it tonight if you want. We'd love to have new people watch us. They just don't want to
6,000 people are hitting us up on Twitter now on this thing we started a few days ago.
Lubie, I have a suggestion. Why not on a once a week or twice a week or the day before this show, put out a little question on there and have people respond to it and say, wow, you answered that. You'd be great tomorrow with this. And then if they're not local, we can make up a certificate and send them in the mail to them. I can develop it or whatever, that congratulations on being a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge winner that they could post and put up on their wall if they're in Chicago or Cincinnati or something.
We can get Roadhouse gift certificates if we want to go national. And Roadhouse has 600 restaurants nationwide. So.
Or we could give away airfare to Vegas, for the Super Bowl with tickets to the game.
No, I would give away real.
We could promise that. I mean, that would lead to more litigation against the show. But you know what? When you're on the internet, hey, look, man, they can't get this indictment done against old Danny Boy. And he's prompting him. He's like the masked wrestler in the corner going, come on, come get me. Knowing he's going to get hit in the eyeball with green slime from Kevin Sullivan. I mean, it's crazy. But
I think the one that should be prosecuted is Stormy Daniels for even going to bed with him in the first place.
She was a porn star. That's the only clever thing, I've heard Ron DeSantis. I have to give him credit for throwing that in there when he was doing that right-wing fascist speech he was making somewhere, and he throws in, I don't know if I can speak to, paying hush money to a porn star to cover up an alleged affair that you had so that your wife won't beat the living daylights out of you. Kind of got him with that. All right, we're going to get into the trivia challenge here in just a moment. And, of course, Hialeah Park is a great place to go anytime. I know you didn't make the boxing, but, one of the most impressive things about it, Dave, was as much fun as people were having at the boxing match and as much excitement as that generated. I mean, they're doing that at the same time. They got this thing going on the patio that goes on every Friday night with the Latin DJs. And even me, with my... maybe somewhat unclean, fat Jewish ass. Even I was starting to shake my booty a little bit out there, which is a scary sight, as Lubie knows.
Right.
You couldn't help it. That's the vibe you get at Hialeah Park. No matter what kind of situation you've incurred during the week, maybe you had a great week, maybe you had a lousy week, Hialeah Park is a great place to go. And with the weekend coming up, there are always a lot of special events there.
Yes, and this Saturday, of course, are all the big races at the fairgrounds. Louisiana Derby, among others. And I don't know how the weather's going to impact it, as I watch David Muir every night. And don't forget, here comes another storm from the East Coast. Boy, you must be glad you're not in L.A. anymore. Those poor people with tornadoes now.
I had talked with a friend out there. I had a text with a friend from my days in L.A. Just the other day. And she was saying that, been brutal there, man. Brutal, yeah. I mean, and they've been off the turf forever at Santa Anita, which is, the one devastating thing to all degenerates out there. Don't you feel like this, though, when you are at the Champion Simulcasting Room? It actually feels like you're at the track there at the heyday of Hialeah. It really does. You get that same vibe,
Absolutely.
which is a nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do a great job. And a matter of fact, this week, of course, Louisiana Derby. Get there early. And then the following week, the Florida Derby. And if you're not inclined to pay entry fees and seat fees, go to Hialeah Park. Get your own private table like I like, right close to where the tellers are. Just walk back or the machines. And as long as you don't get behind a guy betting 10-cent superfectas, you'll be in heaven. Not a problem.
Is there any kind of law in the books where if a guy is just standing at a self-betting machine and staring at it, and, there's less than a minute to post somewhere if you're going screen to screen. Are you allowed to just stab that guy in the back with like a wine opener? Is that a stand your ground or get out of my face?
Yeah. And then either they got a dollar program they're looking at, or they go to the button that says push this to see the program. They stare at the program. They go make one bet, go back to the program again. Come on, while we're young, for Christ's sake. Jesus.
Well, it's one thing. I mean, I understand a guy that has like 1,000 tickets in his hand and he's picked up off the bar on the floor, and he's running them all through to see if any of them have any value.
I don't understand that either. No.
Yeah. Well, I sort of get that more so than I do the guy that goes up there and just turns into an immediate numerical zombie and can't figure out, what numbers he wants to punch up. All right. Anyway, you won't have that problem at Champion Simulcasting Room in Hialeah Park. Plenty of self-betting machines and a lot of tellers also, providing a live opportunity for you to bet. But I want to be responsible for my own ticket, and I always appreciate it when a simulcasting place, it not only has a lot of self-betting machines, but they're functional, all of them. They're never out of order. There's somebody going around there, like staying on top of things, going, this one's out of paper. Hey, we got a flashing red light over here on number 2. And they take care of it right away. So great, and the customer service there is always fantastic. If you do have a problem, boom, man, they're right on top of it. Oh, yeah, your voucher? Yes, we've got it. It was number 201-765-350.
Right,
You had
yeah.
$209, Mr. Gergely. And they give it right back to you. It's great. All right, that's Hialeah Park. They do a lot of good things for people, and you're going to love it. It's a great entertainment experience. And they're open till 5 a.m. on the weekends, which is cool. All right, we're coming back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dial us up if you want to play. We got Dave Gurggles Gergely to MC the operation. Mike Lubie Lubitz, of course, at the controls there, taking your calls. I'm Jeff DeForest, just kind of riding shotgun. And back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:41. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. The Belmont's now a mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, speaking of getting that started, we're going to begin the proceedings here for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. As we have Dave Gurggles Gergely with us, of course, that operatic inclusion into the show was the Polyman, Paul Massell, talking about Luca Panici, who celebrated a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to our good friend Luca Panici. Every now and then you catch. Do you ever catch Luca on a bomb? It's always a lot of fun cheering for Luca on a bomb.
No, but in the last race yesterday, he was on a horse bet down from 6-1 to 2-1. And Jose Ortiz won at 5-1. And here come Irad up for second at 8-1. And I had the exacta with Luca running third. So thank him for that. But the Ortiz brothers run 1-2, and the exacta paid $94, which is quite a bit for those two.
Doesn't that seem like a monetary giveaway? It's like running into one of those money machines where they blow the bills all around and you have to grab as many as you can. Have you ever done that, Gurggles?
No, Polyman told
That's
me
Polyman's
a story,
dream,
though,
by the way. Yeah, to get locked into one of those for a month.
He did it in New York, and it was a roll of quarters instead, so he had to bend down to pick them up. So it didn't work out too well.
It's always something, man. Are you ready to go? Ready to fire here with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people in Hialeah Park. Later on, too, we'll delve into some college basketball with the professor. He is going to join us about 8:40 this morning. And then our Believe podcast should feature The great Brandon Lang of Two for the Money fame, who was hysterical, number one, and number two, extremely, in depth in his analysis. And when he comes up with his selections, he is firmly convinced that they are on the money, and very honest about the fact. If this guy gets buried, he tells you right away, hey. Usually makes a lot of transgender references, which may not be appropriate for all of our platforms, but nonetheless, especially when I have to clean that up if there's ever this quasi-association with the NFL. We'll see. The NFL. Yes. All right. Are you ready to go, David? David Gurggles Gergely. And we're going to go ahead and begin, hopefully in a traditional fashion, maybe without the polyman, but certainly with us in spirit, and some
Easy baseball. This businessman and owner of the Braves, on how he recognized players' agents when they spoke to him, said, "That's easy. How do I know when it's an agent? When they smile, blood drops off their teeth." What's that? Ted Turner, Jim Turner, Bake Turner, or Bachman Turner Overdrive?
Nice one. The Bake Turner reference. All right, here's the Renophone Scrambler. Lubie doing the honors there. And wow, okay, we're going to start right out with the all-time defending champion here, leading champion. Bernie the K held that title for many years until we gave him the prize of the, what was that, kite surfing? What did we have this guy doing? Hand gliding, something.
Hang gliding.
Parasailing. Yeah,
parasailing.
And the rope was like too long for the boat, and next thing you know, he was in the Florida Straits overlooking Alien Gonzalez, and that was the last we heard from this guy. He was seen up there with a kite going, there's a kid. But Lenny has the title now, I believe, as the all-time champion, and may he rest in peace, Bernie the K, wherever he is. That was like a Bermuda Triangle visit. All right, you're on the show, Lenny. How are you? And you have 1 point.
I'm good.
And by the way, congratulations, Lenny. I saw the sign. They're putting up, they're changing the name of tonight's trivia place. It's called Lenny Lubbers instead of Landlubbers. I don't know if you bought into it or.
Sufreen goes running out the back door when he sees the Chronic show up, man, because he knows that they have about $700 worth of gift certificates. Yeah.
All right, good luck tonight. All right, Lenny. True or false? Horse racing. The late great jockey Willie Shoemaker got his nickname the Shoe because at birth he was no bigger than his father's size 9 shoe. True or false?
No, that's false.
That's true.
No, that's false.
That's
he
false?
got the name Shoe because he was so small. They put him in a shoebox and put him in the oven as an incubator to keep him alive.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
So, what size shoe was in the box?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
Could come into dispute there. I see the number blinking.
In case there's a tie, we just eliminate Lenny like we always do. All right, here we go. All right, Lenny.
One going for 4.
3-point question.
He has 2.
Oh, you got that?
You got 2. Yeah,
well, I was the one that got
but we
it
give it
wrong.
to
Okay.
him. Right. All right, hockey, Lenny. The New York Rangers posted back-to-back shutouts in both games this past week, scoring 6 or more goals in both games. Wow. Who was the last team to post back-to-back shutouts and score at least 6 goals in both of those games?
Wow.
Was that the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, the Philadelphia Flyers, or the New York Islanders?
Very contemporary question, Dave.
Let's go with the Islanders.
Islanders. I would say the Bruins.
It's Kate Smith's own Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
77 and 78, they did it. That was the last time, almost 50 years ago.
Could she belt out that God Bless America? I mean,
oh, yeah.
You couldn't help but have like the hair rise on your head when she got into that God Bless America. Very hefty woman, man. It's a shame they took her number down in disgrace like that for something that happened in the 30s that she probably had nothing to do with. All right, going for 7 points here, Lenny, to set the pace.
College hoops, Lenny. Which team scored the fewest ever points in an NCAA tournament game? Princeton, Harvard, Pitt, or North Carolina?
Go in North Carolina.
Oh,
wow. Dean Smith, 4 corners.
1941, they lost 26-20 to Pitt, as a matter of fact. Yep, back in 41.
You're right, maybe
41. No, that was pre Dean Smith. That's for sure. The four corners, though. I mean, was that? I always say this, and it still it hurts me to this day that a coach could be so well respected for devising the worst ever strategy in the history of sports for the game.
Was that North
for
Carolina
fans.
or South? Was that North or South Carolina?
North Carolina, Dean Smith. Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Remember, he had all these guys. I mean, he had some of the best superstars in the game, all going to North Carolina.
Perkins, Jordan.
Yeah, and he's tossing a ball like you were playing keep away in the driveway, something like Salucci, as the polyman would call it. All right, Lenny tallies 7, and so he's setting a pace now. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. That's Dave Gurggles Gergely you're looking at, and you know that Gurggles is a happy man in general, but I think you're especially happy. You're like Red Auerbach lighting up a victory cigar, man, when you light up Perdomo.
Our friend Sam Jones, the late great Sam Jones, said that Red Auerbach would have a bunch of buddies that smoked cigars, and when they played against the Philadelphia Warriors, Paul Arizin had asthma, and he'd put the guys behind their bench, and if they switched ends at the other half, he'd put them there smoking cigars so Arizin couldn't breathe. But with a Perdomo cigar, you won't have that problem. You don't have to go to the Maldives like I did right there to enjoy a Perdomo cigar. All you got to do is go to 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side. I went there this week because over the weekend we had a tournament here with a great group of Puerto Rican golfers, and they bought us out of Perdomo cigars. I had to get 2 new boxes for the pro shop here, but you don't have to come here. You can go right there to 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the south side, a little bit east of the Home Depot, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You say, hey, I want to get one Saturday. No problem. Go to any tobacconist near you and just ask them for a Perdomo cigar. They're sure to have it. If you're not sure, go online, www.perdomocigars.com. And when you go in there this week or next week, congratulate Nick Jr. on becoming a brand new father. His wife, Lauren, is due anytime. That will be the second grandchild, and that's due probably in a week. And maybe they'll even give you a deal on a cigar. But you don't need a deal. They got great deals already at Perdomo Cigars.
Well renowned, man, and family owned and operated. It really is fantastic. I mean, congratulations to them on their long-term success, and the family, will perpetuate itself, and probably still be in the cigar business many years down the road, and to great acclaim. Like you said, the people from Puerto Rico certainly know their cigars. You would have to think, Gurgle. So, if, I did see Perdomo cigars on sale when I was in Puerto Rico a few years back. Yeah, and I remember seeing them prominently featured in one of their fine cigar shops right in the window there, and that's a big thing in Old San Juan. All right, we're ready to go. Our next set of questions here. Lenny setting a pace with 7, and you can dial us up if you want to play 954-417-0070. Here is the great Dave Gurggles Gergely with our next set of questions.
Football. This place kicker on his rather unique position as a football player say, old place kickers never die. They just go on missing the point. What's that? The late, great Lou Groza, Lou Costello, Elvis Costello, or Elvis Trujillo?
I'm thinking of Toe. All right, here's a random phone scrambler, and it lands on Mike. Mike, you're up next on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I would say A.
A is correct, and you're right there on the board.
Well done, Mike. All right, football, Mike, true or false? With Jimmy Garoppolo going to Las Vegas Raiders, one of the things that welcomed the town is Larry Flint's Hustlers Club has offered him a lifetime platinum VIP membership to Jimmy Garoppolo, valued at $500,000. True or false?
What the hell?
All right, that's true.
True? Yeah.
It is.
Oh,
so
wow.
within walking distance of the stadium itself, too, as a matter of fact.
I think he's married, but good for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Garoppolo. Who was it that said that they despise Jimmy Garoppolo because he's just too good looking for words? It was a sports writer that came on the show here. He was just like he couldn't believe it that this guy's too perfect. All right, 2 for 2. Good sniffing that out, and a chance here at 5 with this 3-point question.
Okay, Mike, let's go back to the World Baseball Classic. We'll keep things current. Japan won the first 2 editions back in 2006 and 2009. Who was the only other country to finish in the top 4 in the first 2 editions of the World Baseball Classic? USA, South Korea, Cuba, or Venezuela?
South Korea.
Yes. Wow.
Well done. Yeah. They were second
These
and
guys are
third,
sharp.
respectively.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you get into the World Baseball Classic at all? I know, you
I did.
are still a
I like
baseball fan.
baseball. I'm a big baseball fan. I really enjoyed it. And they couldn't have scripted a better finish, too.
Oh, that was
And
great.
late night, probably 6 weeks ago, one guy come on, I don't know if it was Ben Maller's show or somebody, and said that the best bet was Japan like plus 300 because they had such an easy path to get to the finals. I didn't bet it. Yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, why would you take good advice if you're a degenerate? Of course. And especially when it comes from like oddball places, like a late night talk show, and a guy's
Well,
what was he wearing? A FanDuel shirt? This particular
I don't know. It was on the radio. I couldn't tell.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good. All right.
5-pointer.
Here we go.
He's got
5 pointers.
4 going for the sweep.
This is
All right.
5 going for yes.
Horse racing. Which of the following Louisiana Derby winners also won the Preakness and Belmont Stakes? So that's coming up this weekend. This horse also won the Preakness and Belmont. Was that Grindstone, Animal Kingdom, Seattle Slew, or Risen Star?
Let's go Rhinestone.
No, he won the Derby.
I'll go Animal
Louis
Kingdom.
Roussel.
Oh, yeah.
No, Louis Roussel trained in 1988 Risen Star to win the Preakness and Belmont after the Derby.
All right, very good, Mike, though. Nice try. Right to the wall there. And you fired off a real tough question there. No doubt about it. It wasn't like the answer was Secretariat. That's for sure. So, but Risen Star, obviously, an acclaimed horse who is honored with a stakes that bears his name. So, and that was an exciting year, wasn't it? Louis Roussel was kind of a character.
Yes, it was.
Was not the conventional, people that you usually saw in the Triple Crown spotlight, which is one of the great things about horse racing. The many layers, Lubie and Gurggles, of stories that there are. Lubie thinks it's just strictly degenerate. Well, it pretty much is a lot of that too, right? Degenerate gamblers, hopeless, addicted, compulsive, self-sabotaging souls like us. And does that basically put it in a nutshell?
Yeah, that describes it. Yep.
All right. Well, we'll give you Rise for Hope and opportunity to win a gift certificate to Landlubbers, where Lubie will be tonight. Lubie's making a special personal appearance there with the professor. The professor's going to join us later on. And we'll continue the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in a moment. Now that. It's 7:58.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Francois Lebec. Good morning, Francois.
Listen to me one moment, please. You fat ass. Tired of the way you speak about the Canadians? We are good people. We're here vacationing on the beach. We bring our dollars here, and you're always putting down the Canadians, and me personally am sick and tired of your crap. And you're not losing weight. I saw you the game. You're fat like a pig. The other thing that I would like to say is that you're going to throw out some baseball. I will be there personally to boo you out of the stadium. We come here as good people, friendly people, nice people. We don't need you to speak like you speak, Jeffrey, the fat ass the forest.
The Defo Show, featuring Lubie. We now return to the Defo.
That was always great when the program director would say, I have some fan mail for you. That was the favorable stuff that we used to get. I'm boycotting your station and all of your sponsors from now on because of that remark that stupid the florist made about the Jews. Like, what?
Got that exact.
That's what you bring to me? I mean,
the Jews.
There's not enough paranoia in this business of performing, to not have you always thrust upon us the worst and most negative of comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Jersey Kyle, by the way, the man behind that particular voice, what was the character's name again?
Francois Lebec.
Francois Lebec, yes. Francois Lebec. Fairleigh Dickinson money line, based on the fact that the school was from New Jersey. First game, when they beat Purdue, money line was like 20-1.
Good, God bless him.
Yeah.
Wow. We used to call it Fairly Ridiculous when I was in college.
Yes, Fairly Ridiculous University, which that whole thing was a little bit ridiculous. And then the guy bolts. I mean, Pitino had the ink wasn't dry on Pitino's St. John's contract when that Tobin Anderson ended up signing with Iona. Which you're thinking, okay, they probably just said, look, you're not Rick. But Rick was making a fortune here. So, here's like a third of that. Yeah. And, he moved up the line. A quick guy to cash on NCAA coaching fame. And, there's always a new guy that comes on the scene. All right. We have Lenny with 7, Mike with 5. A couple of good players so far. You can dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. Dave Gurggles Gergely conducting the ceremonies here as we play the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, also brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. And let's dive right back into the action, Dave, and our next set of questions.
Golf, appropriate enough. This pro golfer on a terrible round, when asked by a reporter how he did, he said, I was one under a tree, one under a bush, and one under the water. What was that? Lee Trevino, Lee Leonard, Peter Leonard, or Leonard Nimoy?
Could have been Peter Leonard. All right, here's the random phone scrambler to select our next player. Peter might have prefaced it by saying, "Did you hear my joke?"
Yes.
We love you, P. Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Let's go with A.
He's on the money, man. Sharp players, like I said.
Well done, Ron.
Here we go.
All right, football, Ron. Believe it or not, newest Dolphin quarterback Mike White, who they got for the Jets, upon learning that former Jet teammates Braxton Berrios and Dan Feeney would also be Dolphins, downloaded the three of them as stars of the movie The Hangover. True or false?
Let's go true.
Yeah.
That is true. Wow.
Got a sense of humor. Got to like that.
Yeah, good for him.
That's good. He'd be my go-to interview if I was still trying to get quotes from the Dolphins on a regular basis. That's great. All right, 2 for 2 and going for 5.
All right, Mike, let's go back to hockey. When the Florida Panthers scored 7 goals in the first period versus Montreal, it was the first time a team did this since 1985, and it was also against the Canadiens. Who was that team that scored 7 goals against Montreal in the first period way back in 1985? Was it the Whalers, the Bruins, the Rangers, or the Maple Leafs?
Next to impossible.
Let's go. How about the Rangers?
Rangers.
Believe it or not, the team that played in the mall, the Hartford Whalers, did that.
Whalers, really?
I was going to say that because, their inclusion as part of the answer set. All right, 2 going for 7, and this would tie you with Lenny for the top spot. Ron, good luck with this.
All right, Lenny, let's do another horse racing question. Which jockey has won the last 2 runnings of this weekend's Louisiana Derby set for this weekend?
Got to be your favorite.
He won the last 2. Florent Giroux, Johnny Velasquez, Irad Ortiz, or Joel Rosario?
No James Graham?
No.
James Graham.
Yeah. Gurggles loves Jimmy Graham.
D.
What was that?
D.
D, dog. D.
D as in
D
dog?
as in dog. That's right.
Wow.
Joel Rosario on
I love
Epicenter
Rosario.
and Hot Rod Charlie. Well done.
Wow, the
job,
whole
Ron.
complexion of the game changes. Yeah, as now Lenny and Ron, 2 classic players in a dead heat for first place. with time to play another player into the contest.
Sure.
You can dial us up at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Gurggles, one more time on Perdomo cigars, because they really are great. I still, you can envision certain things, incidents that happen in your lifetime, and I do remember I can visualize my meeting with Nick Perdomo on that red-eye flight out of Las Vegas. And I got on a plane there. Red-eye flights they have their little preliminary anxieties, like, am I going to be able to fall asleep right away? Am I going to be, surrounded by fat people? I mean, what's going to be the deal here? And so, and I see Nick stand up. He introduces himself, and I thought, wow, what a great guy, man. Unbelievable. And, I knew of him because he had been doing some radio advertising with Perdomo Cigars prior to that. But, wow, I mean, and just carried on his family tradition. Really a remarkable thing here in South Florida where, everything is so fly by night for the most part.
It's been 26 and a half years, almost 27, since Nick walked into, then it was Don Shula's All-Star Cafe. We had a humidor. We had cigars. He's sitting at the bar smoking a cigar. And I started talking to him about our show. He came aboard. He's been with me ever since. God bless him. And fourth generation of making tobacco perfect, one at a time. Cuban seed tobacco grown in the fertile fields of Nicaragua. Nick and his family, his granddad started. His dad was in it. He left a lucrative job as an air traffic controller to bootstrap this business, and he's been unbelievably successful. And yet, still humble, and still the prices are not gouge prices, if you will. You're not playing Cohiba or Hoya de Monterrey or Monte Cristo prices for a cigar that's the same quality. So why not stop by 5150 Northwest 167th Street? Give them a call, 305-627-6700. Go in there and see Danny at the desk. He'll direct you to the humidor built by our late great friend, the Mad Dog. Say hello to Nick. Nick Jr., going to be a new papa soon, and the whole Perdomo family working in this great business. So today, tomorrow, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
It's pretty remarkable, too. I mean, it's great both ways. But 27 years as a sponsor. And, we have a deep-rooted appreciation for that. That's certainly true. All right. We're scrambling here, but we're going to go to the finals. How about that, Lubie? You want to go ahead and just go straight there? Because we have the professor coming up. And then later on our Believe podcast, Brandon Lang of Two for the Money fame, which if you haven't caught, I think you might have caught Brandon Lang on some of our shows when we were on the radio, Gurgs. Guy's hysterical. And, with an open platform, where there are no real restrictions, and FCC considerations, Brandon Lang, I mean, certainly brings it to the table in terms of illuminating what the whole gambling experience is all about. I mean, this guy speaks from a perspective of having been in every form of pain that you could imagine. Like all of us, right? I mean, even though he's successful, what is it that stands out? Is it the biggest scores or the most torturous of losses? What do you think?
It's a combination of the two. Speaking of that, this week, while Mike's getting the finals ready, I made it to the Hard Rock to play my favorite game, Let It Ride. I was down to my last 10-10-10, one bonus and everything like that. And I got two jacks and an ace, the first no-brainer of the whole day.
Right.
And what do they throw up? Another ace and then another ace, a full house.
Oh, nice.
I get about 350 back, and I was down to nothing. And the guy said, "Man, if I was you, I'd have left an hour ago." I played a little longer, and what comes up? 4 4s.
Oh,
but I wasn't involved in the progressive, but I still got maybe another 1,000 or something. Instead of being down 400, I win I win about 1,400 for the progressive was 1,800. But my theory was if I'd have been playing the progressive all along, I never would have made it to the full house. But stupid me, once I got the full house, I should have jumped on a progressive. But that's just another word.
That's low for that. No also, though, 4 of a kind.
1,800 on Vegas. I got 23, I think, when I was there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Because I've seen Atlantic City. It's like 25 dimes.
But that's usually
maybe that it's never hit.
That's more a straight flush or royal flush.
The royal flush, I've seen it was like at $250,000 last time I was there. The royal flush.
Wow,
Jesus.
Yeah, which would be a nice thing. I did dream about taking that down, but unfortunately, that dream did not come true. I mean, we're hoping it comes true for our players here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. For FAU, beautiful. The Fighting Owls there is they go against Tennessee, and then of course there's no better guy to talk to among many greats that we have on the show, but Jim Larrañaga is certainly one of our favorites of all time.
Yeah.
The way
What a great-
he gave you a feeling for like what it was like to sort of be on that ride with the Canes when he came on the show.
And what a great picture of him hugging the female Canes coach, Meyer.
Yeah.
With
Yes.
both of them beating Indiana to get to the Sweet 16. I get an autographed picture of that, put it on eBay, you make some money, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just a great guy, a real basketball and human treasure. Jim Larrañaga says, why would I retire, man? He's loving what he's doing, and he's doing a great job. It's phenomenal. All right, set for the finals here of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people at Hialeah Park. We love those guys, talking about loyal and longtime sponsors and backers of just about everything I've ever done here in the 42 years I've been in town. Hialeah was on board with me right away, and I'm certainly on board with them because great admiration for what they've been able to accomplish. And we all know, I mean, it wasn't just the red tape of Tallahassee and, the sort of infighting that was going on here in the racing industry, which, unfortunately, I don't know that directly led to, the Hialeah Park people going out of the racing business, but they stayed with it, man. And, to their credit, came back and wow, what a great thing they've done with the casino. So we certainly applaud them and everything they've done and appreciate their backing here on the program. All right, ready for our finals. We have Lenny and we have Ron. They each tallied 7 points in the game. You guys both know, well aware how this works. Gurggles tosses out the question. If you want to answer right away, go ahead. Otherwise, multiple choice is offered. First person to call out his name gets first choice. And we go back and forth till we have a winner. Dave Gurggles Gergely for the championship. This week's edition, I mean, it's the first springtime edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here's Dave Gurggles Gergely and our championship question.
All right, good luck, guys. Baseball, this is somewhat dedicated to the lovely and talented Leslie Visser because part of the question involves her team and the other's a local one. This is it. Which of the following players who at one time, I'm getting choked up, who at one time wore a Marlins jersey accomplished the same feat as the all-time great Ted Williams by hitting a home run in his final at-bat in the majors. So this player at one time played for the Marlins, homered in his last at-bat in the majors, just as Ted Williams did. What's that?
Here we go.
Darren Dalton, Dave Magadan, Alex Gonzalez, or Dan Ugla?
Wow.
Ron.
Yeah,
Ron, who was it?
Dan Ugla.
Ugla, yes.
Yes.
Gotta be Ugla.
For the
That was gonna be
Washington
my guess,
Nationals
yeah.
in 2015.
Good job. I'll see you guys tonight. Thanks.
All right.
Don't worry.
The Chronics,
Don't worry, Ron. When you get the certificate, Lenny will eat some of the fries off your plate. I know how that works.
that was under the heading of the Raging Bull, right? When Joe Pesci playing the brother of the great Jake LaMotta says to De Niro, if you win, you win, and if you lose, you still win. Because that was going to the Chronics, any way that you looked at it, right?
Yes,
With
sir.
Lenny and Ron there in the final round.
And speaking of one of our great sponsors, last night I'm watching a movie with Frank Sinatra, and he owns a boat, and the guys call him, hey, he says, hey, Tony Rome. He says, I got one in the fifth today at Hialeah. And he's reading the race report. I'm talking about Hialeah with Lady in Cement, starring Frank Sinatra and Raquel Welch. You ever see that one? It's a classic movie. Yeah, by all means.
It has to be better than One-on-One with Robbie Benson. And was it Annette Bening? Was she also in that thing? I don't know.
Wow. I remember he said to his coach, up your ass with a red hot poker. That was Robbie Benson.
It was so convincing coming from Benson, too. It wasn't exactly Olivier when it came to acting talent. Gurgs, we love you, man. I know you're busy.
Have a great rest of the show.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. All right, we'll dive into this tournament as we continue here on the day of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show. Tomorrow, we will go even deeper into depravity as we will have a Degenerate Friday edition of the program. Will Mark Lawrence be back on board again this week? Because he was brilliant last week. I don't know how he did with his picks, but whatever he said, I was like mesmerized by it. It was fantastic.
I think it was 1 and 2.
Okay, so what? So you lost a few bucks with Lawrence last
But
week.
he was good though.
The professor and the Greek also.
Ken was 7 and 3. I think the Greek was 4 or 5 and 0.
Oh wow.
And I think Lawrence was 1-2 or 2-1. I have to.
The Greek has been getting some good steam from his sources in Las Vegas all of a sudden.
1-2. Lawrence was 1-2, and I think the Greek was either 4-0 or 5-0.
Hasn't been enough to shake the Greek out of whatever weird condition he was afflicted with there.
4-0.
As he was a little depressed about a relationship that had ended. His wife had taken a significant portion of his, foundation, that was going to accomplish his retirement at a very early age. I mean, this guy had nothing but jack. And was that it, or was it really like that his heart was broken? What do you think?
I think it's both. I think he was sad from the loss of the relationship, and it was compounded because he reacted to his sadness and did things that in his right state he wouldn't have done. That I agree.
Like giving up gambling.
Yeah, but if you notice, he is back because he's talking about this play and that. And this and that. So at least he found his footing. Yeah. So the professor was 5-0 last Thursday.
Oh, beautiful! Wow.
Then Friday he stubbed his toe a little bit, so he was 2-3. We didn't get him over the weekend, obviously. So Ken was 7-3 last week for the 64.
Not bad. All right, 70%. You can make money with that.
The Greek who joined us Friday, so that was still the round of 64, was 4-0.
Wow.
Mark Lawrence was 1-2.
Greek has been riding the back, and I would imagine he'll continue. I mean, when, if ever, do you jump off a hot hand, Lubie? When you're rolling in some form of gambling, just absolutely on a roll. Even things that should go wrong, that they somehow go your way, and you end up winning. He's been on FAU the entire time. Now, would you still be on FAU getting 5.5 from Tennessee? 5.5, Lupe. I'm going to give you 5.5 points right now. Take it or leave it.
I don't know. What's funny is I'm behind both FAU and UM, and I don't think either Tennessee or Houston is a juggernaut right now. And I still feel like they're magical right ends. So
I sense that you feel both are going to lose.
Yeah, they're going to lose, and I think they're not going to cover the 5-0 isn't a huge spread. But look, you can do the free throws at the end, be down 8, and still cover if you're FAU. I just don't see it.
Well, Furman was only 5 and a hook to Virginia, and that was considered like a monumental upset just because of the name of the school. And as we said, do you think we could have gone ahead and pursued that enterprise with Marty the Party Sachs?
If they had gone farther, the problem is they were 1 and done. They didn't win 2. You need them to get to the Sweet 16, for the up. That's the funny thing about the Fairleigh Dickinson shit is the dude. They weren't good. The only reason they got in the tournament was because the team
on a
that
fluke
they lost to wasn't around long enough. They literally just entered Division I and they lost to them, but someone had to go, so they went. They did beat Purdue, and then they lost to FAU, who's a Cinderella-esque type of team themselves. That's what a lot of people.
But beating Purdue, that was monumental.
It was great.
Look, that was an impossible thing to figure. Right? The thing with Furman, we were going to try to market was, and I don't know if we would have. Obviously, there would be some copyright difficulties with having a picture of Mark Furman on the shirt. But and that's the first thing that comes to mind, is it not?
Yes.
Bad cop, good team.
It's a great slogan, and I feel like it actually would have been worthwhile if they had gone to the 16s. Everyone forgot. I forgot Furman even won in this tournament once you got the other upsets.
Well, and then they subsequently went out and got crushed, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And that's the thing. You have Princeton in the Sweet 16. You have FAU in the Sweet 16. Who gives a shit about Furman?
Yeah. And San Diego State? They're still around, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Creighton, another one. Xavier. I mean, do they loom as a possibility? We'll find out. The professor's going to join us here about 15, 20 minutes from now. So stick around. We have a lot of stuff to get into, including, I mean, we started talking about a lot of stuff, and then we ended up discussing wiping my ass left-handed. Which, I mean, I can't imagine, when I'm thinking about it, it's like, of what interest would this be to anybody, DeForest?
No one. But what's funny is it's one of those things that is sort of grotesque to talk about.
Yeah.
Can identify. Because it literally.
Oh, it wasn't easy. You know what? I was doing all kinds of gyrations there. I looked like Carrie Strug, man. Mitch Gaylord, wasn't ambidextrous enough to, help me out in this situation. Although I didn't mean to say that, because obviously now people are going to say, "Wow, there he goes." But no, that was just a gymnastics reference. That had nothing to do with
got the reference.
Yeah. No, but I'm terribly inflexible. I have been throughout my lifetime, and probably even more so today. So that's another inhibiting factor. And It wasn't easy. It just wasn't easy, right? I mean, what if you broke your wrist? I have broken my right
You
wrist. I
do,
forget
yeah.
how I dealt with it. Yeah.
People do.
Wow.
That's
Right.
it's not an easy thing. That's why even though it was a little
Chip
crap.
Namias, our good friend from PR fame with the Strikers and the Dolphins and
Hey,
Houston Oilers back in the day, and then movies. I mean, the guy became like just a mogul out there in California, and is moving here. But he broke both of his wrists playing pickleball, which is a game I still don't get, people.
my dad loves it. I just love it.
I mean, it may as well be fickleball. What is that?
Isn't the point of pickleball is that you can be
It's a
older and
monster.
still play? So I don't understand that you can be older and still play, and he found a way to break both wrists.
Harvey Fialkov. I ran into Harvey yesterday at the tennis. He was good enough to come over to our nosebleed seats because I spent a little time in the stadium there just to get out of the sun. And he says he plays, but that this is an orthopedics, an orthopedic doctor's dream. That all of these geezers are playing pickleball now. Now I don't think it's exclusive to old people, though, Lubie. You say your old man is into this?
Yeah, I mean he's not young.
He's in pretty good shape, though. Your father.
But he played racquetball for like 40 fucking years.
Oh
So
yeah, okay.
that's his backup. So he
Outdoor racquetball sucks, though. I mean, if you're not playing indoor, four
Nice
wall or whatever that is with the ceiling and everything.
He played outdoor. He played outdoor for years, and he his back.
Ball has too much tendency to roll all the way to the lake.
I know they got decent.
And it's that little rubber ball. I mean, because of the corners. There's something wrong with the construction of these outdoor racquetball courts. Plus, what happens if you run into the cement wall? I guess you could run into the front wall indoors. That happens.
So
that was a wild game. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Back was messed up, and he's like you. He's played sports his whole life. I don't. For some reason, I stopped playing sports after college. I just
Get back into it, Lubie. I'm telling you.
I loved it my whole life. I just life happened.
Except for the fact I can't wipe my ass. Just from playing one set of tennis.
So I don't know. I didn't really like pickleball. It's not just older people. It's not.
The stupid ball doesn't bounce.
Like go play tennis.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you were a stupor at the track, it would be perfect training to be, a pickleball. I mean, just an expert at the game. Although, I mean, I'll say this: I have seen some points, on social media where they're showing like wild pickleball points, and there the game looks pretty good. But when I watch people play it, it really looks sad. It does. Considering that you're not running around like you are if you're covering a tennis court.
Yeah.
You're just standing there like a douchebag with a paddle, hitting a plastic ball that doesn't bounce an inch off the ground. What is that? It reminded me. I mean, Harvey had that picture of Steve Wine of the Associated Press, Harvey and me.
Oh, so you saw Harvey yesterday? Was Harvey?
Saw Harvey yesterday. He looks great, by the way. He
Nice,
really is in tremendous shape, and he says he's playing tennis 4 days a week. But like everybody else that goes 60 plus, I mean, it's Gilda Radner time, man. It's always something, right? And remember, you used to talk about your sexual conquests, when you saw a guy you hadn't seen in a long time. Now you talk about your physical maladies.
Yes.
I broke my toe and I got this wrist problem. I don't know what to do about. And then he's telling me about his hip flexor and his various draining of his knees. And I'm thinking, what the fuck, man? I don't know if I'm talking to Harvey or Joe Namath. I mean. That's true, though, right?
Oh my God!
Yeah, it used to be. Wow, man! I had two blondes last night. I couldn't believe it. I saw one at 5:00 and the other at 9, and they were both gorgeous. And instead, it's oh gee, I can't walk anymore. What a sad state of affairs, Libby. Don't get old, man.
Well, it's better than the alternative, as my mom always says.
Yeah.
He loves to point that out.
The thing is, you want to keep getting out there. You know what? If you're a sports fan and you enjoyed playing sports, you want to keep getting out there and playing ball for as long as you can. I don't care what game it is. So I guess pickleball has great value from that standpoint if it's keeping people in the game, so to speak.
Yes. It allows you to still go and have some physical activity.
Yes, and the courts are packed.
Yes.
The game could not be any more popular with people. That always scares me a little bit too. When a game like this catches on, because you're thinking maybe it's too easy, And yet, it also happens to have a little element of Charles Bronson in it because these people are also on a personal death wish. No,
Yeah, aren't you like really close to each other? I don't know. I haven't watched
I
those.
see people with broken noses. They literally do. They look like Vito Anafirmo after the Hagler fight, coming off the pickleball courts, and that it's like an 80-year-old lady just gets smashed in the face with a racket. You're too close quarters, right? Give me singles tennis any day. Okay, if I fall down, that's one thing. Maybe you get a little scrape of the clay, causes a little blood to pop up on the elbow. That's about it, right? Or the occasional bout with like some mysterious form of tendonitis that even Dr. Harlan Selznick couldn't diagnose. I don't know what's wrong with your wrist, Defo. You're fine. Try wiping your ass. Maybe they'll, extend it out a little bit so that, the tension goes away. I can't get out of my own ass on this show. It's crazy.
We drove Leslie Visser away.
Marcus Sasser.
I don't
Jamal Shed.
I don't know any of these.
Tremont Mark. Is that going to undo this run? Is it a magical run by the University of Miami, or should we have expected this?
Oh, I mean, before Omer got hurt, I expected something like this, and then
I would have expected him to beat Drake if Omer was supposedly 100%. If he hadn't been injured and we hadn't all witnessed it.
Yeah, I mean, the 16s I could see. It's this point on, I didn't know if they would get farther, and I still don't.
It's great too because it was kind of late in the season. We finally, struck up our conversations again with Jim Larinaga. It was one of those deals, Lubie, where both of us were talking about how, you know what? Well, we haven't even addressed this. Like 12-0. Pushed by Sarney, no doubt, into this position.
Sarney, yes.
Where we said, geez, I'm sure Jim Larinaga, he seemed to really enjoy coming on our program, so I'm sure he would come on. And sure enough, he did. And then we started talking to him. But I don't think we still knew a whole hell of a lot about his team until this, the last few ball games. I guess, the ACC tournament. Now, I've been watching him for different portions of the season. And I'm kind of amazed at the freewheeling style with which they play. I really am. Are you not, Lubie? Would you not expect, Larinaga to go more with a conventional half-court offense and, be more inclined to slow the pace down than to just like a track meet, as he described it. Just be off to the races every time they get their hands on a basketball.
Well, that's why I always love talking to Larinaga, because you always love referencing the old school.
Yeah.
But I like that he wasn't old school. He was actually the opposite. That's why
he's freaking Tarkanian, man. He's a running Rebels.
That's why the Armando thing that you referenced when he was hired is laughable, because it showed he covered football and he covered the Dolphins for years at that time. So no one expected him to know basketball. But if you're going to do a morning sports talk show, you're supposed to know about more than one sport. And it showed he didn't know what he was talking about, because even if you had watched that, look, the George Mason tallest guy was 6'5". You can't be a grinded out inside old school team if you have a 6'5" big man. I don't give a shit. Even if you're a small school, you can find a 7-footer. It was on purpose. Like, he was sort of ahead of the time in that sense, where this is the early 2000s.
Yeah.
When George Mason made that run, like, he was always ahead of the curve. And he talked about his kids were coaching, his kids were playing. He has young grandkids that he talks to a lot about, the Steph Currys of the world. He's the one that knew about, like, Coach Ross, and he talked about Lonzo Ball and getting better at shooting and this and that. Like, he is old school in the sense that he knows the game, but he has never really coached old school. Like, he always is on the cutting edge and trying to get the advantage with a smaller, quote unquote, school.
His demeanor on the sidelines too is just amazing also. I mean, even after watching that brick fest against Drake in the first half, he was, stoic as always. Not really stoic. I guess that's not the way to describe it. But, certainly did not seem overwhelmingly disturbed by what was going on. Did he look like he just gargled with cod liver oil as he took the team into the... No, he was fine. And actually the weird thing was they were still in that game.
They always talk to him at half, and he's always...
Upbeat,
that's the thing, because I don't want the even keel thing. To me, fits Dusty May. Larinaga has emotion when he's coaching, but he's not a screw you. He's not that kind of guy. He's always up and positive. He's always up and positive, and just whether they're winning or losing, he's always up and positive. And they always interview him before half, and he's always an interesting interview, even when they do their 3 questions, and he gives them full answers, and it actually makes sense. And like whatever the game is, he will. When Omir went down, he point blank said at half, "Yeah, we're fucked." It was like weird.
It was great. Yeah, great
Won.
Yeah.
Like they went on and won the next game. So like, I appreciate his honesty, and I appreciate that he like is able to be in the moment, but still take a step back.
The professor had to be especially elated that Duke got hammered.
Yes, he was happy
by Tennessee, which did not look like. I mean, I had Duke on a roll, man.
Yeah,
I thought on a Kaiser roll. No, actually, more like a stale onion roll. I used to get them, and then they would sit like in the kitchen for a week, and you bite into the thing, and it was like, hey, get Noodleberg on the phone, man. I'm gonna have to make an appointment. Because, it was Dental City coming up after that. All right, the professor's going to join us. We'll get into the tournament a little bit. I like the slate of games tonight. And this is great. It's hard to believe it's already Thursday this week. I mean, a week flying by. And we're already right back to it. Of these games, I mean, naturally, the biggest interest point will be FAU and Tennessee. But from a gambling standpoint, what are you looking at here, Lubie? UCLA Gonzaga, I think, is a 2-point game. Gonzaga getting a couple of points in this one.
Yeah,
Arkansas and UConn.
I go get
and I believe Michigan State. I have it in front of me here, so I should just look at it.
Kansas State and Michigan State's the favorite by 1 1/2, which I wouldn't touch that game. I feel like both those.
Yeah, I saw that they were favored early on. They're still favored. UCLA is 1 1/2 over Gonzaga. I have Tennessee 5.5 over Florida Atlantic. UConn 4.5 over Arkansas. Michigan State 1 1/2 over Kansas State in a bit of a seeding oddity, is that not?
Yeah.
Because isn't Kansas State like a number 3 seed?
Yes, and they played fine. It's not like they beat a nice Kentucky team who was playing much better. I don't know that one. That's Izzo. That's just that because it's not like Michigan State's been dominant. It's Izzo finds a way.
Their record wasn't overwhelmingly impressive. They were like 21-9, I think.
Should have barely made the tournament, to be brutally honest. They just overrated the Big Ten. To me, I would hone in on the Gonzaga game. UCLA's played well, and people were high on them. Gonzaga's played great. And I think that this is the year Gonzaga is finally not getting any credit at all. So this is the year that they're going to win it. Like, that's what this year feels like. Alabama, who is us against the world, even though they're the douchebags for playing the guy who was involved in a fucking murder. And Gonzaga.
No, they win it all. I'm going to give them the trophy right
Alabama and Gonzaga to me, because those are the two teams that are in different spots than most teams.
I'll offer you a contrarian degenerate theory.
Okay.
On the Gonzaga thing. Because, and that makes perfect sense, what you're saying, where, all of a sudden you're not the team that's supposed to do it all. And guess what? Hooray, here we are, where we actually did it. Mark Few finally gets off the schneid there in terms of national championships when he's been favored many times going into the tournament by all of the experts, picking Gonzaga. Oh, yeah, this is their year. This is the year Mark Few will be celebrating.
Yeah, the last 2 years.
And they had like top players, players of the year, type of talent.
Yep.
They had Holmgren last year, man. This guy was like a 7-foot monster.
He was a second overall pick, and Timmy.
Andrew Timmy. Yeah. So and you're thinking, how do they choke year after year? And I would bank on them choking.
Yes.
And so the contrarian theory to your theory that now there might be due because they're not getting this consideration is no, they're a bunch of fucking choking dogs anyways, and they're going to choke again. So maybe tonight.
I would take Gonzaga in the points. Is what I would do. That's the only one of all the games that I would have any conviction.
All right.
Michigan State, Kansas State are close to me. FAU, Tennessee, I think is going to win and cover, but I would just leave it alone because I'm going to be rooting on FAU. And Arkansas, UConn. UConn's the hot team, but they're favored by almost 5. And Arkansas has actually played well, so I would just leave that game alone.
So by my Mama Cass theory that she who chokes on ham sandwich is likely to repeat it and need the Heimlich maneuver again.
No,
was there nobody around when she? I don't want to get to that's a long time ago.
I don't know. Oh, Mama Cass.
No, but of all the ways to check out, Lubie.
Yeah,
Fiery Crash, I'm not a big fan of, but choking on a ham sandwich? What do you think, Lubie?
No, that's a shitty way.
That could happen on a lunchbox. The Mike Mayo lunchbox. Eating while talking is a very dangerous thing. No?
Well, he takes these big-ass bites and then tries to talk. It's my
fear. Right. He does the play-by-play on it. Man, this is good. Yeah, exactly.
That's my fear. Like today, they're going to bring out crab cakes, matzo balls, and something Easter, and he's going to try and eat all at once. That's like,
Well, what about that gefilte fish thing? I don't have to partake in that,
I'll
do I?
eat gefilte fish. It's fine. I don't despise it like you do.
I'm under instructions from the Mustang, and all she saw was a picture of the chicken in the case there at the Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. And it sounds like, well, what are you going to a chicken farm to do a show, Defo? What the hell? But this place is fantastic. If you haven't been there, yeah, I mean, one of the great markets. I mean, it is. It's hard to describe, how beautiful the place is in terms of just the selections that you have there. And then she saw the price on these. I mean, this is fresh chicken, not something that was frozen, somewhere like 8 years ago. That came from the Andes Mountains, and those guys that crashed a plane and alive. And they're like, "Oh, look at that package of chicken from Publix." This stuff's fresh as a daisy, and it was like dirt cheap by comparison to any place that you go. So I'm under instructions to pick some stuff up there. So we'll see. The gefilte fish, though, will not be one of the items that I'm leaving the store with.
I may get gefilte fish. I'm just curious. Like, if Passover is next week, do you get gefilte fish a week out? Like, I don't know if that's.
I don't get it ever.
I'm not talking to you.
Never 0.0.
Audience, and we don't have like the foodies in this show, but
no.
I do want to ask. That's however involved I am today on the lunch.
Well, if you're buying a jar of shit, I would imagine you could buy it like a century out.
It holds, but it is fish, and they make it fresh. So it's.
I don't think there's any fish in gefilte fish.
Well, there is fish. There's like 3 different kinds.
Like carp or something. I mean, carp was a disgusting fish we used to catch at Cayman's Pond in Merritt, New York.
That's what's weird about carp, because if you go to any canal, when you see these big, they're not. They're not the fish that people have in their gardens. They're carp. But
no, it isn't like you pulled some, dolphin mahi out of the ocean.
Not beautiful.
And went to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill to have it cooked for you.
But the carp that they use, and it's a Jewish, I guess, delicacy, because my dad used to love it on the high.
People love it, man. My parents were fans.
I don't think it's out of a canal. I don't know where the fuck they get this carp. Maybe it's a farm or whatever. But
I don't know.
It's pike, some other fish. So that's my curiosity. Is I'd love to.
So what is the gefilte? Is that like another word for conundrum of fish?
Yeah, I don't think it's a specific fish. It's a description of what is the end result.
Hey, Lou, we got 2 for the combination platter.
I don't know if I would say that's what I love.
It's just the way it looks to me. Something about it.
No, it looks weird.
Yeah,
the taste isn't great, but people like it.
I have tasted it, and I would have to say, and people try to push it on you, and they say, "Hey, you got to try this. No, this is the best."
It's a pain in the ass to
like
make.
I don't even. I have no inclination whatsoever to try this stuff. I know I hate it. It doesn't mean that I mean, obviously at the Delaware, Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, theirs is going to be great because everything they do there is absolutely fantastic. It really is. But if you don't like the stuff.
It's fine. They have a lot of other stuff. You don't need to.
Yeah. I would imagine I would make a face the same one you made when you ate that raw duck that the professor had, which he planned on cooking and not having somebody eat prior to it being served at the party we were having. All right, we're coming back. Speaking of the professor, we'll party with the professor, hopefully on some games. And 5-0 on the Thursday session last week. So this is a man. He owns Thursdays. The professor, let's put it that way, on this show, and is a great college basketball handicapper, and always terrific analysis. He's joining us next year on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that
the time,
it's 8:39. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people. There is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little
gamble in
help, don't
anger.
gamble in anger. It
I
never works.
get a panicked phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the
Oh, well,
Mustang
shut
went
up,
wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, and this is great because I wanted to get some insight into what might transpire tonight, and nobody better to go to on that than our good friend, the professor, who joins us here on the program. Coming off, started out the tournament 5-0 here on the show with his predictions on the Thursday card, and ended up with a 7-3 week on his on-air predictions, and hopefully a very profitable week. I would imagine that led to one. Professor, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Deef. How about yourself?
Feeling good, man. I can't believe it kind of went by quickly here the week, and we're already back on the next round of the NCAA tournament. And it seems like of the two nights, at least according to the odds makers, the more competitive games are supposedly going to take place tonight. What is your general overview on the tournament so far? I mean, are there distinct things that you've seen, and has it helped you, come to any more definitive conclusions as to who might win the whole thing?
I mean, I thought it did until Sunday night, and then TCU hits 2 3-pointers with 5 seconds left in the game to cover in one of the worst beats of all time, gambling-wise, by Gonzaga. There was maybe the most ridiculous ending I've ever seen to a basketball game. Honestly, goes along with this tournament. We've seen a lot of ridiculous endings. The Virginia Furman, I think, was the second game, and it sort of rolled on from there. Really, I don't think anybody's necessarily, represented themselves that well other than the University of Alabama. And if you watch their games, you couldn't help but feel like they just got two matchups that fell right into their wheelhouse.
Yep.
So even them, I don't know how impressive I think even they've been. So I think it's a very wide open field. We've seen a lot of upsets, and some interesting matchups headed into this round.
Well, and of course, everybody was infatuated with the Furman game. They were only 5.5-point dogs to Virginia, though, and
they are. And again, they won straight up. But if you go back and look at it,
it's a load of garbage.
Honestly,
yeah,
a very strange ending to the game. We've talked about it before. Furman was down 6 with 12 seconds left. Or excuse me, down 5. I think
4.
Was it 4? No, yeah, it was 4.
The bullshit foul. The bullshit.
12 seconds left. They get a foul call that was clearly not a foul. A white dude who's they're big, who's a 50% shooter, who again has a form that makes Chris Dudley look competent. Goes and nets out on both free throws, and then the inbounds play, which Virginia got the ball to their point guard, and he made one of the worst plays I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
And then again, they get the interception, they throw it down, the kid pulls up from NBA plus range, and it goes right in. So I mean,
he had missed his last 15.
The guy had been horrible shooting threes. It was Brick City.
So you got a wild ending there, even within the context of an upset. So I mean, that just sort of summed up the weekend, honestly. I mean, look, FAU's through to the Sweet 16.
Yes.
Probably had a tougher time coming down home with Fairleigh Dickinson than they did with Memphis. So.
Yes. And that was, I know a surprise also.
On the plus side, the plus side now, we have to talk about it. Tennessee gets the most rat-faced whistle I've ever seen for like the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And still manages not just to beat Duke, but to beat Duke up. So very positive there. couldn't have been more happy with that result on Saturday, which is sort of how our weekend went. Thursday and Saturday, great. Friday and Sunday, just trying to hang on to 500 and keep the profits from Thursday and Saturday rolling.
All right. Well, I mean, nonetheless, a great job by you scoping out the early portion of the tournament for us here. So we go on to week number 2 now, and here we are in the Sweet 16. 4 games on tap tonight. I don't know if you want to handicap all of them for us, but give us your best selections for this evening, Scott.
I think we got 3 very solid plays. I'll go start with the best one, which is Kansas State and Michigan State. I have no idea why Michigan State's giving points in this spot.
Yeah.
I thought once again, and again, I turn into this guy in March. College basketball turns me into, I hate being whining about the ref, but I thought they got a very friendly whistle against Marquette, particularly a technical foul there that I did not think was a technical foul. That kind of turned the game with about 5 minutes left. And got through. Congrats to Tom Izzo, even though honestly his performance in the tournament in late recent years hasn't been on par with the expectations. Kansas State, I was very impressed with. I thought they took Kentucky's best shot. The little guard Noel played a monster game. And you look at this Kansas State team, they've got a very solid team. Noel and Keontae Jackson's as good a backcourt as there are anywhere in the country, and they're very athletic in the front. Getting 1.5 from a Michigan State team. Well, I think they're better than, and they have a better resume than. So again, other than just tournament reputation, I have no clue why Sparty would be favored in this spot. Both teams guard reliant, but I think K-State's guards are better. So getting 1.5, I think that's your strongest play of the day, and it comes out first, so it works out perfectly.
Nice. Hey, get off to a nice little run there with Kansas State. I was surprised too. I mean, I know the seeding doesn't always matter in terms of the point spread because the odds makers are doing this for a living, and the other guys are doing it. Well, I guess for a living for a lot of grease or whatever they get in terms.
We also
of
have to remember in an event like this, in a game like this, you're probably seeing somewhere between 5, 7, maybe much as 10 times action from public as you would if Kansas State and Michigan State were playing on some random Saturday night in December. So you have to consider public opinion, and that comes in with a coach like Izzo, who's obviously got a huge reputation.
Yeah, Izzo generating the steam there, and we'll always think of him in a favorable light, Lubie and I, because he mistook us for coaches and was asking us if we wanted to get on the bus that was taking all of the NCAA coaches to the Final Four site.
Well, they were not. They were coaches who weren't coaching. It was families taking it from the hotel, and we were staying at the hotel.
Right, and Izzo sees us standing there looking for obviously the bus we were supposed to be taking, which was like one of the short school buses that we were going to get over to the arena there. And he says, "Why don't you guys get on first?"
We're like, what?
I mean, look,
as if we were coaching Davidson or something.
Because I don't pick his team that often, I'm going to come across as not necessarily the biggest Tom Izzo fan.
Yeah,
I don't dispute his resume. Like, the guy's a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. There's no question. I just don't think he's been getting, it's sort of like the run with Bob Knight at the end. I think when you're that sort of disciplinarian coach, you get to a point where the recruits just aren't down with it anymore. And I think you look at Michigan State, that's been the case for, a good 4 or 5 years now. They don't get the same level. If you go back to a Mo Peterson, if you go back to a Jason Richardson, it used to be very common for Tom Izzo to mix in lottery picks with those sort of hard work players that he's known for. They don't really get that anymore. It's really been a while since Draymond Green, since they've had a real NBA player on their roster. And you look at this year's roster, it's pretty much the same. I don't necessarily see any pros on that team. So no disrespect to Izzo, but I think he's just outmanned here. I think K-State's got a better roster.
Excellent. All right, a strong play. Kansas State, Michigan mysteriously favored by 1.5 in that ball game. All right, you said you had 3 good plays for us tonight. So where are we going
next? We started with the first game. I'm going to finish with the last game, and that's Gonzaga getting 1.5 from UCLA. Obviously, a classic matchup from the Final Four a couple of years ago. Gonzaga, I don't think there's a single player on the roster who was on that team. UCLA's got a couple in Jaquez and Tiger Williams. I like the Zags here. I think they're coming in playing really well in this spot, and I think offensively they'll be a little bit too much for a relatively inexperienced UCLA team outside of those two, very young squad, led, of course, by Drew Timme, who I think is now in his 8th year in college at Gonzaga.
He's starting to look like Blutarski a little bit. But
He looks like he's about 36 years old, to be honest.
His parents are there, and they're like, with walkers. I mean, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's good that they're there. I would expect them to be, watching
Deceased.
from the rafters with Sister Jean at this point. Because I think Drew Timmy played against Sister Jean's like 5 times already. So yeah, we like the Zags in this spot. I think experience will carry the day, and I think the Gonzaga offense. So 1.5. I feel pretty comfortable in that spot. UCLA, really, they're overly dependent on Hawkes offensively, and I don't think that'll be enough coming into tonight with a Gonzaga team. It's got about 6 dudes who on any given night can drop a 20 spot on you. So again, I like the Zags coming into this tournament. I feel like they were less hyped than they had been after not a great early start of the season where the team was starting to come together. But you looked at the way their offense was rolling in the last month of the season, and it's continued through the tournament, including the second half against TCU. Had a very tough half against a tough TCU team out of the Big 12. Big 12 conference overall represented itself pretty well, but came out and just rolled them in the second half. So I think that'll continue tonight.
All right, so taking a 1.5 with Kansas State, taking a 1.5 with Gonzaga. And what was your other play for this evening?
Next one, we're going to take Arkansas plus the 4.5 over UConn. UConn, again, I think this is a little heavy number. It's a little bit north of where I would make it. I'd make it UConn maybe 2 in this spot. Arkansas seems to have brought it together at the right time, played very well in the first 2 games, particularly against Kansas in the second round. I think they're plenty athletic to handle UConn, and they've got plenty of size up front to handle UConn's big with Sonogo. And UConn totally over-dependent on his post offense to win basketball games. So I think Arkansas and Musselman will be able to take that away from them a bit. And I would look for the Hogs to continue to roll into the 8s there. Woo Pig Suey.
A 3-dog night for the professor.
Yeah, you're Mark Lawrence.
And the funny thing is, if I were going to play the 4th game, which is the FAU Tennessee game,
yeah,
I would be inclined to take the points.
Wow.
We talked to our friend Blake, who obviously been around FAU for years. It's a very strange game in that Tennessee is good enough defensively and they are physical enough to beat people up that they could beat anybody on any given night. Unfortunately, they also go through long bouts of offensive incompetence, so they're beatable by anybody on any given night. So I think FAU's got a realistic chance to win this game. I just don't know at 5.5 which way I'm going, because it really kind of depends on who dictates the game. Is FAU's offense able to dictate the game, or is Tennessee's defense able to dictate the game? If it goes the latter way, I don't know that I think 5.5 is enough.
Yep.
But I think FAU has an excellent chance to be in the game. Not a game I would personally play, but if I were going to play the game, I'd be inclined to take the points.
All right, I know you're going to join us tomorrow in your regular spot on our Degenerate Friday show with the big board and some more college games. But just a quick thought, early impression here. You don't have to go into as much detail as you probably will tomorrow on the chances against Houston.
I heard a really good interview with Jim Larinaga, both on your show and then on your favorite show, Kane's Hotline, with Joe Zagacki. You're a big fan of. And the point I heard Larinaga make is that he's worried about Houston's size, not in terms of height, but in terms of pounds. And the example he was saying, you look at their front line, Houston goes like 225, 235, 245. The Canes guys go like 195, 205, 215. And he's worried about their physicality. I would say that's going to probably be the biggest part of the game. Just how physical do the refs let Houston get with the Canes? And if they let Houston bang the Canes around real good, that's going to be a problem. But doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We've seen it time and time again where all of a sudden refs will have a tight whistle against a hyper-physical team like Houston.
Yep.
If that happens, I think the Canes are going to be right in the game. I will tell you right now ahead of time, I would definitely take the 7.5. Houston is not a team that blows out a lot of quality teams. So if you want to jump on early in that, I would definitely take the points. But I think the game's largely going to be dictated by the officials. And Houston, again, Houston's one of those teams I think other coaches really love what the Houston Cougars do because they win on defense and rebounding. But a lot of that can be dictated by how the refs choose to call a game because, again, Houston, hyper-physical. The refs allow them to be that. It's going to be trouble for that front line of Miami. But if it doesn't, it could be trouble very early on for Houston. So I think we've got an interesting ball game there. Like I said, if I were going to play it right today, I would be inclined to take the points.
Wow, I mean, it's like you spent some time at the kennel club, man. All dogs here from the professor. Absolutely fantastic. All right, well, talk to you tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
You have a great one and enjoy the games tonight. Come on out to Landlubbers for trivia.
We'll be at
if
Landlubbers.
you want to catch the early games with us.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I'm probably not inclined to venture across
I
town
know.
for a second time in the same day, but
Defo refuses to go west of I-95.
I don't even want to go west of Federal. What are you talking about? Except to a certain assortment of casinos and racetracks.
Exactly.
Other than that, but we will be on the road today at the Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, a place that you would greatly
of course,
appreciate.
They gave you stone crabs last time. I'm surprised you're not showing up at the parking lot every morning.
Lubie, I mean, is looking for gefilte fish today, though. So for me, that is a radical departure from the glamorous experience that we had there last time. Although I'm sure it'll be very good. I mean, they make everything they do there is great. But I don't know. Are you a gefilte fish guy, Professor? You're a guy with.
I have literally never eaten a gefilte. It's like a Jewish sardine, right? I don't know what a gefilte.
I don't know what it is, man. It's a weird thing. It's just like a weird thing that Jewish people eat, which I happen to be Jewish, so I can say that. But without feeling, that I'm going to get harpooned for it. But
no. I mean, I'm not
never
trying
liked
to be
it.
racist about it. I just outside of like Jewish delis, I don't think I've ever seen it. So
it's disgusting. It's down there in the bottom of the shelf, bottom shelf of the store there, and got to blow the dust off the can.
Well, look, my own heritage is Norwegian, so it's not like we don't have our fair share of disgusting, fish foods. I mean, lutefisk is probably the most disgusting creation in culinary history. So,
okay, let me ask you, since Sarni's been fucking annoying about it, to be brutally honest, have you paid any attention to Nova?
No.
Okay. Perfect.
Honestly, I love Jim Sarni for his love of these weird.
He loves everything.
Women's
it's
tournament,
great. Yeah.
Nova, but come on, it's March. All of us normal people, our concentration is entirely on the real tournament, the big tournament.
Oh, and if you watch the women's NIT, because that's big on.
Dude, I haven't even watched the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to be watching the women's NIT. I mean, get that. Honestly, how many people are at a women's NIT game? Like 6?
If you include parents, friends, family.
We called a minor league football game at that Polo. It's not
Remember
Polo. The cricket stadium they have down in Fort Lauderdale. It's middle of a monsoon. Okay. I think there were maybe 8 people there, and they were all directly related to players. And I think that gets more attendance than the average women in NIT game. I mean, come on. A women's NIT game.
Did it seem like that league was long for the, for its existence? Yeah. That guy was a little flaky that was running that thing, wasn't he? He was a good guy, but
honestly, I didn't. Are you making this up? Do they actually have a women's NIT? Do they play a women's NIT?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's a distinction to win it. It really is. I can name you the last 10 winners in the women's NIT. You want me to rattle them off?
Sure. Give me one.
Can you name one? Can you name the men's NIT winner?
I couldn't tell you who's in it. I'm sorry, Jim. Yeah.
I mean,
don't let Sony get to you. See, he's Svengali'd you, Lubie, into even bringing this up.
I just wanted to get Ken's funny reaction. I knew Ken would watch
it. What? What is no? Okay, look, I'm going to be a jerk here. Nova's NAIA, their Division 2. What level does Nova play at?
I don't know. I thought you. I actually thought you may know. I don't know.
They're in a subterranean Division 3.
Because you get schools you get Fairleigh Dickinson in the main tournament. So
that's a Division 1 school. Like there's lines on every game that Fairleigh Dickinson plays. I will be paying attention to Fairleigh Dickinson. But come on, what does
Sony says Division 2.
Division 2 basketball.
Okay. Division 2.
But there's like a Division 1A, isn't there? Also, I mean, it's like there's an entry in there.
No, that's football. In football,
by the time
you have
get to
what
Division
used to be
2,
1A and 1AA, which is now FCS and FBS.
Right.
But in basketball, it's just Division 1. And then there's Division 2s, 3 and 4, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, Division 2 is not that far off the beaten path.
And since Jim Starney's asking, I follow Division 2 and Division 3 football a little bit. I do not follow it in basketball at all. No.
All right. The Professor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
You have a great one.
Here on the show. All right. All right. Fairly positive about the underdogs here, Lubie. Although you appear to have frozen on me for a second here. Are you all right there, Lube? And we might have lost Lubie. All right, we were signing off anyway, so I will do that, but without Lubie and without the appropriate theme music, because we have another piece of business we have to conduct here in just a few minutes while using the great technical facilities that we have here on South Florida Live. So we will see you next time, ladies and gentlemen, as we leave you now that we have reached. And I can't hit this thing for you, so I'll do it myself. The time is 9 o'clock. Do, 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 do.